Hi there, I'm Chef Celeste, and welcome to my Louisiana kitchen, where I'm going to take you around Louisiana through cuisine to show you why I've grown to love Louisiana and its food, and you will too. On today's episode, we're doing po' boys, and yes, I said po' boy, not poor boys. It's going to be with a beef tenderloin tail, and we're going to move from there. For our dessert, we're going to make a praline sauce. Praline, not praline. And so we're going to take you from one end with the po' boys to the other end with the sweets, and I'm sure you're going to love it. So the ingredients today, we're going to start with the po' boy. We have our beef tenderloin tail, so get to know your butcher and you can get some awesome cuts of meat like this here too. My butcher is Raymond Cottrell. So when I go to him, I tell him I have a special event going on, and I give him some parameters of what I want. Oh my goodness, he comes through every single time. That's the relationship you need with your butcher. We're going to have some tomatoes going in there, some tomato sauce. We have some roasted red peppers. I have my trusty red onion, and we're going to add some spicy provolone cheese. We're going to top that off with with the lettuce and tomatoes and things like that. Into the praline sauce, we're going to have our Louisiana pralines. I have my cane sugar. I have my pure vanilla. You need pure vanilla, not imitation. Then we're going to have some heavy cream, and then the cakes are already baked. I have some brownies and some blondies, and we're just going to go with that. So let's come on to the back. Let's start this beef, and let's get to cooking some good Louisiana food. All right, we're over here. First off, we're going to get the tomatoes cut and the onion. I'm going to do that first. I'm not going to cook it first, but I don't want to have the meat cut and then the tomatoes. So I want to keep everything nice and safe. So, no cross-contamination, okay? Even though it's going in the same pot, I just like to keep it nice and simple. Make sure all of your things are nice and clean, which we're working with clean vegetables, clean hands. Very important. Now remember, this is no waste, so the only thing you see me pushing to the side are the stems. So try and waste as little as possible. Just giving it a rough chop on there. You see that right there? And actually, I think that's enough tomato. I don't want to cut anymore. Same thing, onion, cut rough. That's all I have left right there. Push that over with my tomatoes. Nice and simple. Now, with my beef, let me put these over here. Okay, on the tenderloin tail, we're going to take this, and yes, I'm going to cut it. Let me push this over to the side. Slice it, take it and put it right here. Put my meat away. I want nice thick cuts, so I'm going about 2 inches. Straight into the pan. You see that pan nice and hot? Listen to that. And I'm searing my beef. We're going to season it in a minute. This is a nice lean cut of beef. It's not going to take long. We're cooking it to just a medium. Put that piece down. I have my heat on high right now. Okay. In there, I'm going to go with my steak seasoning. At home, I know you don't have the steak seasoning yet, so you can pick up one. That's all you need in there, or you can add salt, pepper, garlic, parsley, a little bit of oregano in there, and just let that roll. So I'm going to let that sit for a minute. Let me slide my tomatoes back from that heat. Cast iron cooking is a wonderful thing to do. If you don't have a good set of cast iron skillets, just pick one up. They're not overly expensive. It gives your food that extra flavor in there too. But one of the tips when you're cleaning your cast iron, you don't really want to use soap and water in there. You want to kind of wipe it out if at all possible. If you have to really scrub it out, then you just re-season it with a little bit of oil, pop it in the oven for a little bit. Let me grab my tongs. I'm going to flip this over, and we're going to add everything else in there. Tongs. This is what we're going to use to flip this with. Look at that. You see that color on the bottom right there? That's what we're looking for. Then we're going to add all of our other ingredients in. This is going to be just a nice, well-rounded sandwich. It's going to have a lot of depth of flavor in there because that's what we like to do. We like to keep the flavors going in here. And who doesn't love a nice cut of beef? I know my kids love beef. So we have one of my traditions around the holidays. You know, you do your turkey for Thanksgiving, Christmas, stuff like that. I always add a tenderloin in there or a ribeye because, prime rib, because that's what I like to add that in there for my holidays. So now that this is going, pick all of this up, drop it in. Drop it in. We're going to leave it on high for a minute. Work the tomatoes and the onions down in here. You hear that? It's starting to smother down a little bit. There's still that oil, letting it sizzle up a little bit. All right. Add some more seasoning to it. Remember, say it for me so I don't have to say it. What a flavor? Yep, depth of flavor. That's what we're doing. Put some pepper on there. All right, got your pepper going on there. If you don't have a pepper grinder, get one. That's about one of the only gadgets that I really like to use. So we're gonna let this go for a little bit. Turn your heat down low. Add your tomato sauce in there. Get it all in there. You can get a rubber spatula if you like. When we're in school, we're told, which is still holds true, the rubber spatula is your best friend because it gets all of your ingredients out. All right, turn that over. That just looks like you want to take a bite out of it right now. But we're gonna wait, we're gonna be patient, we're gonna let it cook. Look at that. I love a nice cut of beef. This is more on our Creole side. When you get to using the tomatoes and the spices and stuff, now we're moving more into a Creole dish. This is almost a play on, if I were to cut this up and add some bell peppers and a little bit of red wine to this here, now we're moving into the grillade section, which is like grits and grillades, which is a Louisiana staple. We are going to talk about grillades later in another episode. So right now, I'm just going to take you into this nice smothered po' boy. Okay, so that's what's going to take us Louisiana style, because we're going to turn this into a po' boy. A steak is not a steak, it's not a steak until you're eating it in Louisiana. Okay, remember that. All right, I'll be back in a minute. All right, I know you've been waiting for this here, so I'm going to give it to you. Something sweet. Not me, pralines, okay? So we're going to go in, we're going to make our sauce. So we have our pecans, these are the spicy ones. We have our cane sugar, I have my heavy cream, and I have my vanilla. So let me go in with that. We're gonna do the vanilla first. My pan is warm. You're gonna hear that slight sizzle when it goes in. It's not on high, I'm not trying to burn the cream. So let me turn it up a little bit now. I'm gonna put it on medium high. Let's get this out of the way. So in there, we're gonna add the sugar immediately. Now I'm not going to add the vanilla in here. The vanilla, in my opinion, you need to add when it's closer to the finished stage, okay? So just let this go. I'm not going to bring it to a boil. All right, just let it go for a minute. Just dissolve the sugar in here. Growing cane is very big in Louisiana. You can go out to the field and you can just cut off a piece of the cane and just chew on it a little bit. That's what a lot of the kids do traditionally. Then they take that and they break it down into what you get is the cane sugar. There's also byproducts now from the cane, you know, making fuel and different things to kind of be more fuel efficient. So Louisiana is rich in culture and being creative with the waste products. So you don't want a whole lot of waste products, use it, byproducts. Why not turn it into something else? The same way you should be doing in your house. When you have, for instance, the jambalaya. You got leftover rice, leftover chicken, make jambalaya. Make something out of it. Your leftovers are not just leftovers. It's another meal, okay? Make it different. Okay, you see this here? You see how the color is changing on here a little bit? Now I just want to let that keep cooking because we're gonna top this off. We're gonna top the cake. We're gonna top some ice cream. This is gonna be just a nice, delicious dish. So I just wanna let it go. I'm gonna stop playing with it for a minute so it can start to cook. You see how it's starting to bubble up a little bit? That's what you want. It's not gonna burn on you. We're still gonna watch it. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit. I don't want it to overflow the pot. If it starts to overflow, pick it up, stir it. Pick it up, stir it. Slide it over from the heat a little bit if you have to. Once you see it get to that halfway point, just pick it up and remove it off the heat a little bit. And just keep stirring. And it's gonna thicken. As it stirs, you see this steam coming up? Well, it's also evaporating some of the liquid out of here. That's what makes it thicken up, okay? I'm just gonna keep lifting it up a little bit. Can I turn the heat down some? Yep. Am I going to? No, because I like to keep myself amused in the kitchen too. So, certain things you do, you know, as being a chef for almost 30 years, it's you find it's the small victories that you do in the kitchen. Can I overpower this pot? I can. So, I'm going to stand here and stir. It's almost the same as when you're making your roux. Remember I told you I love to make a roux. I like to watch the colors change. You can get the kids in the kitchen, let them do this here. The kids love to make candy. One thing we used to do a lot is make the popcorn balls. That is a New Orleans tradition. It's a Louisiana tradition. Different flavors in different regions of Louisiana. You use your cane syrup to make that with. That's a recipe that you'll be able to find online with us because we can't cram it all into 12 episodes, but we're going to try and cram it in there for you. So now let's get these pecans in here because remember, we're making a pecan sauce. Praline sauce. Not praline. Okay, now we're just going to let it cook. They're going to absorb some of this nice sweet cream. Let it go for a minute. We're still not adding the vanilla in here yet. So once we let this cook down a little bit, then it'll be ready. Once it thickens, about 10 minutes, it'll be ready to put on our ice cream. You can chill this, you can put it in the refrigerator. You can actually add a little bit of butter and keep cooking and stirring. This is close to the base for pecan candy. We're not going to do that yet. Right now, I'm going to teach you how to make the best praline sauce you've ever had in your life. Right there in this pot. Be right back. Now, we are ready to put this baby together. Remember, we're doing more than one thing at a time. So now we got the vanilla going into our sauce. Our sauce is on low, all set, ready, looking delicious, okay? Meat is nice and tender. One thing I'm gonna do, look at the tomatoes. I'm gonna take those and smash it just a little bit because I haven't added any flour in here. This is all gluten-free, so you don't have to worry about that until we put it on the bread. If you don't want any gluten, don't put it on the bread, put it on the salad. You're still good to go. Make a lettuce wrap. I may show you how to do a lettuce wrap, don't know? So this is what I'm gonna do. I don't want the sauce on here yet. I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna put it on my board, and yeah, handy dandy, just give it a slice. This tenderloin tail is so tender, hence the name. It soaked up the flavor from the onions and the tomatoes and all of that, so it's gonna be nice and delicious. So I want 2 pieces on here because this is not just for one person. We're going to share this here. So these are, and this is just going to be a nice tenderloin, braised tenderloin po' boy. Po' boy is, again, not poor boy, but it did come from, you know, lower class. Louisiana had classes, which I'm quite sure most of America did too. But this was an easy sandwich that was not overly expensive to make. So that's hence the name. So open your po' boy bread up, take a little bit of the sauce. This is our mayo, mustard, whatever you want to put on here. This is it right here. Drizzle that down, let it soak into the bread. Look at that, just put it in there, work it on down in there. Now you don't want to do this too far in advance because it is going to make your bread too wet if you do it in advance. Layer the meat on here. Look at that meat. If you like yours, this is well done. If you like it medium, medium rare, however you like it, that's how you make yours, okay? So don't let me tell you what degree of doneness, that's my piece right there, to make your sandwich at. I want you to determine that. Let's add some cheese on there. Well, number one, let's put a little bit of layer on top. Look at that. Again, we are layering what? Yes, flavors. Cheese, spicy provolone. Layer it on. We want 3. If you don't like a lot of cheese on your sandwich, guess what? Don't put it on there. Now we're gonna add our roasted pepper. Lay that on top right there. Let another one come on down that strip right there. Actually, I wanna share the wealth. Slice that down the middle so everybody can have some when they bite into it. Okay, now let's go back on the top. We are done. Get your top bread coated. Get some tomato in there. Pick up some of your chunks. Pick up some of your chunks. All right. This is, look at this sauce that I have in here. When we start talking about our griots and our beef and our things like that, that's what we're getting into. That's one of our Saturday morning favorites downtown at the bistro. We have people coming in looking for the grits and griots. We haven't even started talking about grits yet. Let me put my piece of meat right there and push it over to the side. Look at that. Let me slice it for you. Let me turn my skillet off. Then we're gonna move on to the ice cream and the sauce. Look at that. Give it a nice little cut. Yes, it may be messy, but it's a delicious kind of messy. Look at that. Now let's work on dessert. You need to see that? Look, there you go. Now, for dessert, we'll push all the messy stuff out of the way. We're gonna do some ice cream. Let me get a layer of that. And you can use whatever you want to use in here. Ice cream is coming out. Who doesn't like ice cream? I love ice cream. You love ice cream? Maybe a little messy, but it's gonna come out pretty. Look at that. Put that down. Get you some of the brownies. Put your brownies in here. Get you some of our other cake. Put that in there. Turn that around. And a little bit more ice cream. Whatever flavor you like, that's what you put in here. All right, now we're gonna cover this up. If your container is, you see ice cream on there, you're gonna eat it anyway. So it's still gonna be pretty when I put these pralines on the top. Watch this here. Now this you do right before you eat it because you're going to melt the ice cream if you don't. Look at that pour. Look at that pour. Nice little sauce. More pralines down the side. Let me sit this over to the side. Get my spoon down in there. Look at that. Take a bite. And remember, I'm Chef Celeste. You're watching My Louisiana Kitchen, and I will see you next time.